Hello friends, good morning and welcome to this channel. Now today we are going to visit the historic temple of Madurai, Meenakshiyamman temple. But I don't think we would get permission to take cameras inside the temple compound because I still remember last time when we visited this temple, it was some 2 or 3 years before, they didn't give us permission to take cameras inside. Last week also I inquired and they said no. So actually restrictions are there for any kind of electronic device including mobile phones. But anyhow, we are going to try. On the bank of Vaigai River, in this cultural capital of Tamil Nadu, located the historic Meenakshiyamman temple, which, along with many other famous temples, gave Madurai the title Temple City. Long before, where the city of Madurai now sprawls, was a forest called Kadambavanam. According to the legend, while crossing this forest once, one villager saw a Shivalingam being worshipped by the Lord Indra, who is the king of all gods, under a Kadamba tree. When the villager reported this to the then Pandya king Kulashegara Pandya, he ordered to build a temple there dedicated to Lord Shiva. When it was built, Lord Shiva himself appeared in the sky and drops of nectar from his hair fell on the town. That's how the city got the name Madurai. Yesterday, finally we reached Madurai at 8 p.m. Now we are going to Madurai Meenakshi temple. There is no parking facility near temple, so we decided to hire an auto rickshaw. In 10th century AD, Chola rulers conquered Madurai and ruled it till 13th century. 13th century saw the retrieval of Madurai by Pandya rulers. Chola rulers overthrown in a battle by Pandya rulers. And once again, Madurai, its culture, tradition and literature began to flourish under Pandya kings. History is full of stories of conflicts. The fight for Madurai and its opulence wasn't over. In the 14th century AD, one of the generals of the Delhi ruler Alauddin Khilji ransacked Madurai for its precious stones and jewels. Eventually, in the same century, the entire Pandya kingdom came under the Tughlaq's Delhi Empire. This temple was pillaged by the Muslim commander Malik Kafur, who was one of the generals of Alauddin Khilji, and destroyed along with many other temples of Madurai. He also looted other temple towns of South India. After the 14th century damage by the Delhi Sultan Alauddin Khilji, reconstruction of Madurai temple started when it finally became the part of the great Vijayanagara Empire. Later Nayak rulers, mainly Vishwanatha Naykar in the 16th and Thirumalai Naykar in the 17th centuries, repaired, renovated, fortified and expanded this amazing temple. The history of this temple, which spreads over 14 acres in the heart of this Athens of the East, or Madurai, dates back to 1st century AD, according to some historians. But there are many scholars who still believe this temple has more history than that. With architectural wonders like 1,000-pillared hall, many massive gateway towers adorned with beautiful sculptures, golden lotus pond as its sacred pond, hidden troves, innumerous sculpted stones and columns and countless devotees, this temple is rich. Many wonders are there inside this temple, like 1,000 pillared hall, musical pillars, but unfortunately camera is not allowed. So we have decided not to enter. Among the total 14 gateway towers, the southern gateway tower is the tallest with a height of 170 feet, and the western gateway tower is the most famous since it is the model based on which the Tamil Nadu state government designed their emblem. The present-day temple and its arts reflect the taste of various kings who renovated this temple over years. Almost all pillars inside this temple are decorated some way, mostly with religious motifs. With more than 25 deities inside this compound, this pantheon itself is a heaven.
Historically, this southern city of India has many importance. Historians say the ancient historian and diplomat Megasthenes once visited this city. Later, Romans and Greeks also visited here, and they even established trade with Pandya rulers.
From Meenakshiyamman temple, now we are going to Thirumalai Naykar palace, which is some 2 to 3 kilometers southeast to Meenakshi. Parking, Thirumalai Naykar Palace parking. Anywhere near Thirumalai Naykar's palace, it is impossible to park or vehicle. So once again we decided to hire an auto rickshaw. And now we are on the way to Thirumalai Naykar.
What you see behind me is the remnant of a spectacular palace. When he built it in the year 1636, Thirumalai Naykar wanted this to be the charm of Madurai, his capital. Actually, he built this to outshine other palaces in South India. But what we can see now is just an entrance gate, a courtyard, and a hall.
In the second half of the 14th century, Madurai fell into Vijayanagara Empire. Vijayanagara Empire was so vast, so they had to delegate the governance of Madurai to Nayaks, their governors. While today's crowds are tourists, almost 400 years before, this courtyard was a different scene. Thirumalai Naykar's palace hosted many scholars, poets, kings, and other nobles.
By seeing this corridor around this courtyard, stately columns, decorated arcades, we can imagine how grand this palace was back then.
Nayak regency in Madurai continued until the demise of the great emperor Krishnadevaraya of Vijayanagara Empire in the year 1530. After that, Nayaks became the sole command of Madurai, and the most popular among the Nayaks was Thirumalai Nayak because of the unparalleled contributions to architecture and patronage of art and literature when compared to other Nayaks. He also had driven back threatening neighboring Muslim rulers who had an eye on Madurai for its treasures.
The original palace, which stood here some centuries before, surprised many British architects and caused them to copy this style in their new constructions wherever they built one in later years. Even many buildings later constructed in India are based on the style of this palace.
This palace, a fusion of Italian, Dravidian, and Rajput style, was his palace in Madurai and an architectural masterpiece. But unfortunately, many of its parts were demolished in the 18th century by his own grandson to build a new palace in Trichy, as he decided to shift his capital from Madurai to Trichy. The throne displayed here is just a showpiece. The prima facie fake throne didn't attract us. Even now, we can see 10 massive pillars as if sprouted from earth some 200 meters north to the palace. These 10 massive pillars were also part of the original palace that once ornated this town.
So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. We hope you like the content of this channel. If you like, please subscribe to the channel and support us. Thank you.